All throughout high school, I was constantly going back and forth about what major I wanted to choose when I graduated and moved on to college. So many things piqued my interest, and it felt like every week I was changing my mind about what I wanted to do. All of my decisions ranged anywhere from science to arts to law, things like that. And now I can say, as a junior in college, I am so pleased with the major I ended up choosing. And it wasn't even on my radar in high school. I'm currently a communications major, and in this speech, I want to tell you why you should be a communications major too. So, when I graduated high school, I went to a local university in Atlanta, Georgia, where I'm from, and that fall, I was studying nursing. It had always been interesting to me, and I was really excited about it. What I was most excited about was getting to interact with my patients on a daily basis. That fall, I actually decided to transfer to Boyce in the spring. And as many of you probably know, Boyce doesn't exactly have a nursing program or any kind of science program for that matter. So I was in sort of a pickle. I decided to transfer into Boyce as an education major. I was interested in working with people, and this was my main focus. And if I couldn't do nursing, this kind of just felt like the next best thing, and I really wanted to go to Boyce, so I was like, I'll just make it work. So, during my first few weeks of the spring semester, I was approached by the communications department head, Dr. Leverett. I was in his Intro to Communications class that semester as an elective, and he noticed my interest in the things that we were studying. We were covering theories about like how people interact and how we communicate with one another and how we build relationship, and the content was so intriguing to me. It felt more like a hobby than a class. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not the best student by any means, but I found myself giving 110% of myself to this class. I even wanted to read books about communications in my free time. Now that's saying something. So he told me to consider switching my major to communications, and my first thought was, what can I even do with a communications major? So I went back to my room after class that day and I began to research all the things that can be done with a communications major. I think my question afterwards was more along the lines of, what can't I do with a communications major? The possibilities with this are just endless, and here's why. In studying communications, you can focus on specific areas of research. Things like rhetoric, marketing, public relations, teaching, things like this. Because it is such a broad degree, it allows for ample opportunity to find the right job for you. The communications major at its core teaches you how to better understand people, how we build relationships, how we communicate, even how we see the world and how we see ourselves. It's really similar to psychology in the way that it studies people, but it's more rhetoric-based than science-based, if that makes any sense. So, after doing some research and thinking about it more, I went to my advisor that day actually and switched my major to communications. And I haven't looked back ever since, and that was a year ago. As I've taken more communications classes since then, it's only deepened my interest on the subject. In my classes, we get to do fun things that help us to better understand people. I took a class called Media, Culture, and Society, and the entire class was built off a semester-long project of creating a blog and producing weekly posts about advertising and marketing, and these posts were specific to a company that we got to create ourselves. How cool is that? And I took another class called Interpersonal Communications, and in this class we studied things like romantic relationships, conflict, workplace relationships, and culture. And this list isn't even half of the fun things that we got to talk about. Being in this program has taught me so much about people. I've changed so much in my understanding of myself, how I think, how I interact with other people. I really have changed for the better since joining this program. So, you may still be thinking, well, what can I do with this major? I'm so glad you asked, actually. Here are the few things and the few jobs and areas that you can go into with a communications degree. So you can go into the realm of marketing as a marketing specialist, as a consultant, or things like this. You can go into the human resources realm, into sales. You can even go into a political setting. You can start, at the bottom and work your way up. And it also helps you if you were wanting to run for a political position of authority, like representative or something like that. You can still go into teaching. You can be a writer, a journalist, an editor. You can go into the digital media realm. This is just a few things that the communications program offers. Communications can also better help to prepare you for graduate school if you decide to pursue a more specific degree after earning your bachelor's. Most jobs, even if it's like a specific skill set job, will hire someone with a communications degree because it goes to show that they're adaptable and teachable. And that's just the perfect recipe when applying for a job. Now, it can be scary not having a specific degree. I get that. That was a fear I faced when looking into this program. It's hard to decide what to do with it, and there's always that fear of not being able to find a job when you graduate. But that's actually why I'm glad to have such a broad degree, so I can try different things and see what works for me and what I'm passionate about. If you told high school Erin that she would be a communications major, I would have laughed in your face. But it makes sense for me. I love studying people and how we interact, and if this is something that interests you, I would encourage you to consider majoring in communications. The problem I face now is picking which job area to pursue because so many of them are interesting to me. If you have this problem too, the communications major could be your solution. I just want to say, no one from Boyce or the communications department or Dr. Leverett paid me to write or deliver this speech. I know it seems suspicious, it seems like an advertisement, I get it, but I just want to throw that out there. I've never really been passionate about school, but studying this content that the program provides has not only made me a better student, but a better person and a believer. I want this kind of experience for everyone. My passion for what I study flows into my everyday life, and this is why I think that everyone should major in communications. Thank you.